Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well. I've got a bit of time this afternoon, so I thought I'd squeeze in a little video just to reconnect a bit and say hi, share some music, share the passion. That's the only reason. I always repeat this, but that is my leitmotif, that is my driving force for this YouTube channel, is sharing interesting records with you, and maybe you have them and you rediscover them, or maybe you don't have them and you want to explore them, whatever it may be, or you're just passing by and you just want to, hang out with me a bit. It's Sunday, and every Sunday I play classical music. I don't just play classical music on Sunday, but Sunday is a kind of a moment where I sort of dedicate that time. I've got moths flying in front of me. And I started with this morning, Goffredo Petrassi, the works for pianoforte. Pianoforte is sort of a hybrid between a harpsichord and a piano. It's an older instrument with very high-pitched kind of tone. Very bad explanation, but these pieces were very jaunty, very bouncy, very lively, and sort of, in a way, whimsical. And it's great for contemplation on Sunday morning. It was just a lovely piece. And then I followed up with these two pieces, which is two symphonies by two Australian composers, Alfred Hill and James Penberthy, and notably the cantata on Hiroshima panels, obviously a tribute to the disaster of, what can you say about Hiroshima that hasn't been said already, but very powerful and sort of incredibly moving choir, So, sorry, the words are not coming to me this afternoon. When you don't do it for a while, you sort of lose them. Anyway, and then this morning I also revisited some jazz records. And I've been meaning to revisit Mutima for a while, Cecil McBee on Strata East. Now, this is an absolute epic free jazz, avant-garde jazz record with hints of modal jazz. Starts with Cecil McBee just playing his double bass with a bow at the start, and it sort of gets you into sort of a trance until you don't quite know what to expect, because it's so visceral, what he does with his bow, and he just takes you to places where you just think, where is he going? And then it comes crashing like a wave. And you've got Jimmy Hops on drums, and Didi Bridgewater on vocals on this, George Adams on sax, Michael Carvin on percussion, you've got Billy Hart, you've got Alan Brofman, you've got Art Webb. It is a cast of thousands. It is an absolute monster Strata session, very highly recommended. Which I followed by another monster session, not on Strata East, but could be on Strata East. The Black Unity Trio featuring the great Abdul Wadud on cello and bass. I just can't get enough of this record. This is also deep spiritual jazz of the highest order from Ohio. Which sort of there are no originals of these, because they were sort of pressed in so few in such a small quantity, but then repressed very lovingly by Got a Groove Records, and I highly recommend this reissue if you can find this. It is a monster again, spiritual, awakenings of sorts, if you will. You've got sax, cello, bass, and percussion, if that gives you a flavor. Amazing. And then I was just playing this beautiful Brian Pope. Again, it's more like a sort of post-bop, modal jazz kind of. You would call this a bit of an obscurity. It's not the jazz that people normally show. I've known about this record for ever and ever, and I picked this up probably like a year ago, maybe, on, you know, because it was just a cheap reissue, but it just works for me. I don't mind. I'm not a snob in that way. Music for Earth Dwellers and Star Seekers. Just again a brewing session with Barn Pope, the main guy on alto sax, with, you know, a bunch of other dudes doing what they do. Fantastic. I'm gonna give a big shout out to my pal Cedric, who I've spoken about many times on this channel. He's a subscriber who sent me a message and said, "Oh, I'm coming to Melbourne. You know, can we meet?" And he ended up staying here. I told the story in previous videos. I've explained it many times. But I sent him a package, and then a few weeks later I received a package back from him. Lovely, lovely package. And in this package was this absolute beast of a record. Another modal jazz winner, Gary Bartz, Another Earth. I think it's a second Gary Bartz record. And it's prior to soul jazz Gary Bartz. The lineup on this is absolutely astounding. You've got Charles Tolliver, Pharoah Sanders, Stanley Cowell, Reggie Workman, and Freddie Waits on drums, and it just goes. This record is incredible. So Cedric, I thank you very, very much for sending me this. He sent me other records which I'll talk about in further videos, but just wanted to acknowledge the VCLT, the beautiful VCLT. Nothing to do with this, but this morning I was playing my partner. She loves soul and blues, and sometimes I buy records for her, you know, because I think she'd enjoy them. I was digging at Northside Records the other day, which is one of my favorite stores, and in the $5 bin I found this amazing Della Reese, I Gotta Be Me, This Trip Out, arranged and conducted by Oliver Nelson. Really, really tasty 60s soul. A lot of jazzy and bluesy elements that come to the fore. The saxophone notably is amazing on this. The lineup is brilliant, but I can't exactly remember now because I looked it up on Discogs, and the lineup is not listed there. But the lineup on this is absolutely to die for. But I can't now remember who is on it, but you can check it out. Very highly recommend this. It was only $5, so in the same store, in the same day, in the $5 bin at Northside, I found a copy of the Savannah, the Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah band, which is a classic of the sort of New York no wave scene. It's basically August Darnell from Kid Creole and the Coconuts, before Kid Creole, and it's a sort of like zany, no wave. It's not really exactly no wave yet. It's kind of a mashup of like calypso, funk, and a bit of sort of new wave, just sort of blended together. It's very similar to some of the later works that he did with the Kid Creole and the Coconuts. That was $5. It's an absolute scorcher, this record. I mean, it is an acquired taste, I will say, because some of the melodies are very sweet, very, very saccharine in a way. But I would say, you know, once you get into the record, it's very rewarding. From 1976 on RCA. Like just about a lot of people, of everybody, I picked up the Beth Gibbons new release. Why would you not? I mean, you know, I love Portishead to bits. I think, you know, every time we get a record from her, it's worth, you know, and they are well distributed here in Australia, and they're not too expensive. So I thought, well, I'll just buy this, and it's a folk record with, you know, her typical soulful voice perched atop. it is very melancholic, very downtrodden, the feeling on this record. You can see that there's love lost and other sort of feelings of regret and sorrow that pervade through the record. I think her voice is really well suited to this kind of music. She just, you know, to me, she's kind of a Billie Holiday of modern times. Bev Gibbons. She does have that aura. Here is a little known record which I found out during lockdown, during COVID lockdown, and because, you know, I was only buying records from Australia, I couldn't get a copy, but a shop in Australia, like a Discogs shop, had a copy of this recently for sale, and I thought, oh, I'll grab it now. Vangelis Katsoulis, that's not Vangelis, you know, as everyone knows. It's another dude, Vangelis Katsoulis. I think he's yeah, there he is. You can see it's not Vangelis. He is a Greek composer. He is the co-founder of this label here, Utopia, which releases electronic, ambient, sort of left field music. This is a sort of modern classical, ambient, you know, some kind of, you know, electronic backdrop to it, but it's not a very strong electronic record. It has more a modern classical orchestrated kind of a feel with some choir vocals on it. Just a beautiful record. It is a beautiful record. I knew why I wanted it, but continuing with an ambient pop, indie pop, shoegaze record that I blind bought at Northside. Northside Records had a bin, they had 5 or 6 bins of brand new records that they discounted for $20 each, which is too good to pass. That was probably like a few weeks ago, a month ago, I would say. And in there was this record, which just attracted me just by sheer force of its sleeve. It was very shallow like this. It is Primitive Motion is a 2-piece from Brisbane. It's a guy and girl, Sandra Selig and Leighton Craig. And this was mastered and post-produced by Lawrence English, if it gives you a bit of a clue, 2014. What we've got here is a mishmash of ambient pop, ethereal kind of wave, shoegaze. That's the kind of soundscape you've got, you know, kind of a Julie Cruz, Cocteau Twins, slow dive kind of hodgepodge. Beautiful records, really sweet vocals, very melodic, just, you know, keeps your attention for a long time on this record. And yeah, they're from Queensland. They're from Brisbane, I think. Beautiful record. Primitive Motion. The record is called Pulsating Time Fiber. Works well. Next, I want to shout out my pal Chris for 127 Basket, who sent me a beautiful VCLT about 4 or 5 weeks ago. With 7 records, and Christoph doesn't make videos anymore, you know, although he knows so much about, I mean, to me he's one of the greatest that ever did it on YouTube, but just monster knowledge, you know, like he has very broad sort of base of taste. And he sent me what he calls his favorite record of 2022, which is this Nachthorn LP for MIDI controlled organ. It's Maxime Denuc, French composer, obviously, who just tinkers with the organ and with electronics, and it, you know, the result is beautiful washes of organ, which are just, you know, so compelling and so sort of deep and just resonate deep inside. You know, you play this, you know, high volume, and you get a sort of you know, a sort of cosmic wave of organ, you know, which are laced with beautiful, or treated with electronics. It's a superb record. Thank you, Christoph. And he also sent me this amazing Greek record, Maria Faranturi, which he recorded, I think, in Turkey, or with this Turkish guy. The name now escapes me because it's all written in Cyrillic. But nevertheless, this is a sort of a folk, like a Turkish Greek folk record with very sort of experimental types of arrangements, and it has a couple of killer psych tracks on this. But as I don't read Cyrillic, I just don't want to, you know, butcher this. But I love this. It's just a killer record from 1980. I want to say 82 or 83 or thereabouts, or maybe 84. An original pressing. So Christoph, I thank you so much. I'll just continue with some ambient and electronic records. It was Grouper. I've been playing the shit out of this. I love this record. It's becoming my favorite Grouper record. It's very sort of sullen and just delicate music played on piano, a little bit of guitar here and there, and just the soundscapes are very desolate, very desperate sounding. Yeah, she's a genius on Cranky. This record came out a few years ago. I couldn't tell you the year. There's never any detail on their records. It's just so minimal. Like their music is minimalistic, and their sleeves are too. And I like that. I dig that idea. I've been playing the shit of Amber by Oteka. Mostly, I will say, on my journeys to work, because I commute by train every day for 2.5 hours, so I listen to a lot of music, and this I mostly listen to on my phone, really. But because I've listened to it so often in the past few days, I probably wanted to showcase it. It's probably my favorite album by Oteka, although, you know, Try Repeaty is close, but I think this one is so instantly. If you want to get into Oteka, you don't know how to get into Oteka, I think Amber is the best place to start. It's just really melodic, and it's, you know, there's an immediacy about the music which, you know, you can you don't even have to fight with it, really. I've also been playing this wonderful record by Oyuki Conjugate, English fourth world band. You know, if you like John Hassel, and if you like, I don't know, the likes of David Sylvian, but, you know, or it's kind of like the fourth world's stylings of Peter Gabriel, even, or I don't know who comes to mind. You know, the Spanish band Finis Africa, or you know, more modern things like I love, for example, this guy called Phil Stroud, this Australian dude who made an album which I talked about very often, but this is in the same sort of sonic landscape, John Hassel, you know, but with a more sort of post-punk approach. This is the second and easily the best album, Into Dark Water, Oyuki Conjugate, 1986. Beautiful, beautiful record. I've been also playing the shit of this album. This is phenomenal. Coil, The Ape of Naples. This is the most recent reissue, because, well, I know nothing about Coil. I'm just, you know, I'm just some dude who appreciates their music. This is an album that came out later. I want to say in the late 90s or early 2000s or something. When was it? When because they finished the band in 2005, so just a bit before that. It's one of their last albums anyway. This is just a superb record, so accessible. There's elements of avant-garde and ambient and, you know, progressive electronic, yes, but it's just, it has a pop sensibility, I reckon, this record. It's got all the songs are immediately sort of, it's what I was saying about Osaka, immediately accessible. It's just a lovely record. Really not a wasted minute on this. I think it could be my favorite choral record so far, but as I said, I know nothing, so don't take my word for it. And I'm going to finish off with 3 American primitive records, because I'm listening to a lot of American primitive music at the moment. And if you don't know what that means, it's, you know, it's basically a sort of melding of bluegrass, blues, modern classical, and folk, and I would put in there as well raga, Indian music. If you just mashed all these things, John Fahey being the main exponent, Leo Kodka, Jack Rose, you've got a lot of great sort of, it's often played on steel string guitar, and it's often just solo guitar, solo acoustic guitar. I'm forgetting as well, obviously, Robbie Basho and Sandy Bull, who belong to that kind of movement. But if you look at the sort of like the originators of that kind of sound, you have someone like Elizabeth Cotton. This is her album on Folkways, folk songs and instrumentals with guitar. This is what this is a sort of subgenre of blues and primitivism called Piedmont blues, and which has strong elements of sort of acoustic Delta blues mixed with you know, Appalachian kind of folk music, and she does it so this is killer from back to front. It's a blues record. Her guitar playing is just really like keeps the whole thing together. It's a bit like with Robert Johnson. When you listen to Robert Johnson, there's that voice, but that's that guitar playing which nobody knows about this woman, but I hope you will check her out. And 2 more, which are American primitive record. And now, here is easily the worst record cover in my entire collection. Now I'll show you the back of it first, because I think the back is bad, the front is worse. So the back looks like this. I mean, what the fuck is this? But then look at the front of this thing. It is just truly horrible. This is Leo Kotka with Dreams and All That Stuff, which, if you can't understand me saying this, there is an enormous insert with that. Now, don't be fooled with this cheapo, horrible cover, because this is a top shelf American primitive record. It's Leo Kotka playing, you know, either solo or duo, guitar plus banjo. There's a little bit of synth here and there, but it's largely him just on guitar. And this can be had for nothing. I mean, you know, this is a cheap record, you know, and, you know, people will spend a lot of money to buy original Tacoma records, but this is great. And the last one, very similar in style, lovely record. This one is on Thrill Jockey, however. It's Glenn Jones. Now, this is a modern take on American primitivism. The guy is a wizard, really. Solo for 6 and 12 strings, and 1 duet with Jack Rose. This came out originally in 2000 and I want to say 2001 or 2002, and was reissued. This is a reissue from 2017. There's a song called Sphinx Onto Curious Men, the second track, to give you an idea of the sound. I love the sleeve of this, it's beautiful. There's a song called Phase Car, as you can see, you know, one Jack Rose that I mean, you know, just very, very much indebted to the whole thing. That's all I have for you today. It was a bit painful, I'm going to say, to talk about these records without fucking up, but I hope you enjoy nonetheless. See you on the other side. Take care, everyone. Love you all. And yeah, spin some records. You know, what else is there to do?